The Jomon period is the key to understanding the world's ancient civilizations. The clay figures with the sunshades aren't aliens.
We see a lot of continuous patterns of triangles in the earthenware and stone slates left from primitive people.
Shizuka Shirakawa, who was a leading figure in the study of ancient inscriptions of Chinese characters on bones, the origins of kanji, says that among the pictures ancient people left behind, there would be pictures describing their mythology, as for example in the cave paintings of Altamira and the desert-lined drawings of Nazca.
So what do you make of the continuous patterns of triangles that primitive people left behind?
The oldest geometrical continuous triangle pattern was engraved by humans on a piece of ochre at Blombos Cave in South Africa, 75,000 years BCE. Then there was a continuous triangle pattern engraved on stone slate in Portugal, 4,000 years BCE. At almost the same time, continuous triangle patterns were drawn on beaker pottery in France and Spain. Also, the Jomon culture patterns on stone slate are very similar to those of Portugal. Continuous patterns of triangles can be clearly seen on Jomon earthenware of that time. Likewise, they were also used in the Atlantic and the Pacific cultures.
So modern humans are the descendants of the people who emigrated from the African continent 70,000 years ago? And there was the continuous triangle pattern in Africa 75,000 years BCE. In that case, we could say that the reason that both Atlantic and Pacific cultures had this pattern in the Neolithic era was that the pattern had its origin in Africa.
Exactly.
So what on earth was the continuous triangle pattern representing?
The continuous triangle pattern is the pattern on the back of a viper. It means that the people who left this pattern behind were people who had the viper as their totem god. The Naga people of India, the Paiwan people of Taiwan, and such people who had the snake as their totem god are common around the world.
But it's strange. Why would people choose the snake as their totem god? They don't look anything like each other.
Not at all. The answer is really simple. The people who had snakes as their totem gods believed that the most important part of life is when a person turns into a snake. Also, they believed that the most important part of life was to leave descendants, and that the male genitalia was a snake in the first place. A stone rod made about 3,000 to 4,000 years BCE represented the phallus, but a two-pronged hemipenis was attached. Another stone rod from 1,000 years BCE has two penises on both ends. One can only say that it is the image of a male snake. Many of the stone rods made in the Jomon era represented snakes, which were their totem gods.
Certainly a lot of the books about psychology and ethnology theorize that the phallus is a snake. But it seems as though there are no descriptions of female snakes.
Ha 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 ha, that is quite right. As to the idea that a person is born from a snake and dies going back to a snake, the symbol of a female snake is also indispensable. But for some reason, many researchers have overlooked this. When examining many of the clay figures made in the Jomon era, one can see the actual form of a female snake. Next time, we will look at some Jomon clay figures to reveal why it was that humans believed snakes to be their totem gods.